star always looks wonderful bright a minute before it has to go, doesn't it? Well, I guess I better show you how our town lies. Along here is Main Street. Cutting across it over here on the left are the railroad tracks and the depot. Across the tracks is Polish Town. Foreigners, you know, who come to work in the factories. And some Canuck families and the Catholic Church. Congregational Church is down over here to the left. Presbyterians across the street. The Unitarian Church is off to the right here. Baptist down in the hollow by the river. And Methodist right here. Now, next to the post office here is the town hall. Jail's in the basement. Brian once made a speech from these very steps right here. Along here now is a row of stores, hitching posts and horse blocks in front of them. First automobile's going to come along in about 5 years. Belong to Banker Cartwright, our town's richest citizen, lives in the big white house up there on the hill. And right here is the grocery store and Mr. Morgan's drugstore. Most every day, everybody in town manages to look into those two stores. Now up here is our doctor's house, Doc Gibbs. And this is the back door. Here's some scenery for those that feel they have to have scenery. And this is Mrs. Gibbs' garden. Corn, peas, beans, hollyhocks, heliotrope, a whole lot of burdock. Well, in those days, our newspaper come out twice a week, the Grover's Corner Sentinel. And this is Editor Webb's house. And Mrs. Webb's garden, same as Mrs. Gibbs, only hers has got a lot of sunflowers too. And then right over here is a big butternut tree. Nice town. You know what I mean? Now, nobody very remarkable's ever come out of it as far as we know. Earliest tombstones in the cemetery up there on the mountain say 1670, 1680. They're Grovers, Cartwrights, Gibbs, Hersey's. Same names as around here now. As I said, it's just before dawn. The lights on in town are in a cottage over by the tracks where a Polish mother's just had twins. And in the Crowell house where young Josephine Crowell's getting up so as to deliver the morning paper. And in the depot where Shorty Hawkins is about to flag the 545 for Boston. Out in the country, naturally, there have been some lights on for some time, what with Milkins and so on, but town people sleep late. Yeah, there's Doc Gibbs now, coming back from that baby case. Another day's begun. Here comes his wife, coming downstairs to get breakfast. Now, Doc Gibbs died in 1930. New hospital's named after him. Mrs. Gibbs died first. Long time ago, in fact. She went out to visit her daughter, Rebecca, who married an insurance man in Canton, Ohio, and died there. Pneumonia. But her body was brought back here, and she's up in the cemetery there with a whole mess of Gibbs and Herseys. She was Julia Hersey before she married Doc Gibbs in the Congregational Church over there. In our town, we like to know the facts about everybody. And here comes Mrs. Webb downstairs to get her breakfast too. And here's Doc Gibbs. Got that call at 1:30 this morning. Here comes Josephine Crowell delivering Mr. Webb's Sentinel.
Morning, Doc Gibbs.
Good morning, Joe.
Somebody been sick, Doc?
Oh no, just some twins born over in Polish Town.
Do you want your paper now?
Yes, I'll take it. Anything serious happened in the world since Wednesday?
Yes, sir. My school teacher, Miss Foster, is getting married to a fellow over in Concord.
Well, I declare. How do you kids feel about that?
Well, of course, it's none of my business. But I think if a person starts out to be a teacher, she ought to stay one.
Well, how's your do, Joe?
Fine, Doc. I never think about it at all. Only like you said, it always tells me
What's it telling you today? Is it going to rain?
No, sir.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
Does that mean you ever make a mistake?
No, sir.
I want to tell you something about that gal Prow there. She was awfully bright. Graduated high school here, head of her class. Got a scholarship up to Massachusetts Tech. Graduated head of the class there too. Was written up in the Boston paper at the time. Was going to be a great doctor, she was. Went off to help treat the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918. Got sick herself and died. All that education for nothing. Here comes Heather Newsom, delivering the milk.
Come on, Bessie. What's the matter with you today? Morning, Doc.
Morning, Heather.
Somebody sick?
Oh, no, just a pair of twins born over Mrs. Groslowski's.
Oh, twins, eh? Oh, this town's just getting bigger every year.
Is it going to rain today, Heather?
Oh, no. Fine day. It'll burn right through. Come on now, Bessie.
Hello, Bessie. How old is she, Heather?
Ooh, going on 17. Bessie's all mixed up about the route ever since the Lockhart stopped taking their quart of milk every day. She wants to leave them a quart just the same and keeps scolding me the whole trip.
Morning, Heather.
Oh, morning, Miss Kiss.
Seems like you're late today.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, something went wrong with the separator. Don't know what it was. Doc?
Heather?
Children, time is up. George, Rebecca.
Come on, Bessie.
Well, how was everything, Frank?
Easy as kittens.
Well, bacon will be ready in a minute. Sit down and drink your coffee. You can get a couple hours sleep this morning, can't you?
Miss Wentworth's coming over at 11. I reckon I ought to know what that's about, too. Her stomach just ain't what it ought to be.
Oh, I declare you won't get more than a few hours sleep. I don't know what's going to become of you. I do wish I could get you to go away someplace and get some rest. I think it would do you some good. Emily, it's time to get up. Sally, it's 7 o'clock. I declare you have got to speak to George. Seems like something's come over him lately. He's no help to me at all. I can't even get him to cut me some wood.
Is he sassy to you?
No, he just whines. And all he thinks about is that baseball. George, Rebecca. George.
George, look sharp.
Yes, Pa.
Don't you hear your mother calling you? I think I'll run upstairs and grab 40 weights.
Emily, Sally, you'll be late for school. Sally, you wash yourself, put her up. I'll up and do it myself.
Mom, what dress shall I wear?
Now don't you make a noise. Your father's been out all night and he needs to get his rest. I washed and ironed that blue gingham for you special.
Mom, I hate that dress.
Oh, now, Rebecca.
Every day I go to school just like a sick turkey.
Oh, Rebecca, you always look very nice.
Mama, George is throwing soap at me.
Oh, I will come up there and slap the both of you. That's what I'll do.
Got a factory in our town too, hear it? Makes blankets, Cartwrights own it, and it brought them a fortune.
Children, no, I won't have it. Breakfast is just as good as any other meal, and I won't have you gobbling it like wolves. It'll stunt your growth, that's a fact. Put your book away, Sally.
Oh, Mom, at 10 o'clock I gotta know all about Canada.
You know the rules as well as I do. No books at table. I'd rather have my children healthy than bright.
I'm both, Mama. You know I am. I'm the brightest girl in school for my age, and I have wonderful memory.
Eat your breakfast.
I'm bright too, and I'm looking at my stamp collection.
Now, I'll speak to your father about it when he's rested. But it seems to me 25 cents a week's enough for a boy your age. I declare I don't know how you spend it all.
Oh, Ma, I got a lot of things to buy.
Strawberry false paste, that's what you spend it on.
I don't see how Rebecca comes to have so much money. She has more than a dollar.
I've been saving it up gradual.
Well, dear, it's a good thing to spend some every now and then.
Mama, do you know what I love most in this world? Do ya? Money.
I'll eat your breakfast.
I gotta hurry.
Walk fast, you don't have to run. Sally, stand up straight.
Now, Rebecca, you give Mrs. Foster my best congratulations. Can you remember that? You look real nice, sweetheart. Bye.
Bye.
Here, chick, 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 belong to me. Where'd you come from? Oh, don't be so scared. Ain't nobody gonna hurt you. Oh, morning, Myrtle. How's your cold?
Well, I still get that tickling feeling in my throat. Old Mr. Webb, I don't know as I go to choir practice. Wouldn't be any use.
Well, have you tried singing over your voice?
Yes, but I can't seem to do that and stay on key. I thought I'd string some of these beans while I rested myself.
Let me help. You know, beans have been good this year.
I've decided to put up 40 quarts if it kills me. The children say they hate them, but I've noticed they've been able to get them down all winter.
Now, Myrtle, I've got to tell you something, because if I don't tell somebody, well, I'll just burst.
What Julia gives.
Here, give me some more of those beans. Myrtle, did that secondhand furniture man from Boston come to see you last Friday?
No.
Well, he called on me. First, I thought he was a patient waiting to see Doc Gibbs, and he wormed his way into my parlor, and Myrtle Webb, he offered me $350 for Grandmother Whitworth's highboy as I am sitting here.
What Julia gives.
He did! Why, that old thing. It was so big I didn't know where I was going to put it, and I almost gave it to Cousin Hester Wilcox.
Well, you're going to take it, aren't you?
I don't know.
You don't know? $350. What's come over you?
Well, if I could get the doc to take the money and go away someplace on a real trip, I'd sell it like that. You know, Myrtle, it's always been a dream of my life to see Paris, France. Oh, I don't know. It sounds crazy, I suppose. But I've been promising myself that if I ever had the chance.
Well, how does the doctor feel about it?
Well, I did beat around the bush a little and said that if I ever got a legacy, that's the way I put it, that I'd make him take me someplace.
What did he say?
Oh, you know how he is. I haven't heard a word out of him since I've known him. A serious word, anyway. No, he said it might make him discontented with Rovers Corners to go traipsing about Europe. Better let well enough alone, he says. Every 2 years, he takes a trip to see the battlefields of the Civil War, and that's enough to treat anybody, he says.
Well, Mr. Webb just admires the way Doc Gibbs knows everything about the Civil War. Mr. Webb's a good mind to give up Napoleon and move over to the Civil War. Only Doc Gibbs, being one of the greatest experts in the country, just makes him despair.
Well, it's a fact. Doc is never so happy as when he's at Antietam or Gettysburg. The times I have walked over those hills, Myrtle, stopping at every bush and pacing them out like we were going to buy it.
Well, if that second-hand man is serious about buying it, Julia, you sell it. And then you'll get to see Paris, all right? Just keep dropping hints from time to time. That's how I got to see the Atlantic Ocean, you know.
Oh, well, I'm sorry I mentioned it. Only it seems to me that once in your life, you ought to see a place where they don't talk in English, and they don't even want to.
Thank you, Mrs. Gibbs. Thank you, Mrs. Webb. Thanks very much. Now, we're going to skip a few hours, but first, we want a little bit of more information about the town. So I've added a kind of scientific account, you might say. So I've asked Professor Willard of our state university to come sketch in a few details about our past here. Is Professor Willard here? Oh, Professor Willard.
Yes.
Let me introduce Professor Willard of our state university. Just a few brief comments. Thank you, Professor. Unfortunately, our time is limited.
Oh, yes, okay. Grover's Corners. Let me see. Grover's Corners lies on the old Pleistocene granite of the Appalachian Range. I may say it is some of the oldest land in the world. We're very proud of that. A shelf of Devonian basalt crosses it with vestiges of Mesozoic shale and some sandstone outcroppings. But those are more recent, 200, 300 million years old. Some highly interesting fossils have been found. I may say unique fossils 2 miles out of town in Silas Peckham's cow pasture. They can be seen at the museum in our university at any time. That is, at any reasonable time. Shall I read some of Professor Gruber's notes on the meteorological situation? You know, mean precipitation, etc.
I think we don't have time for that right now, but we might have a few words on the history of man.
Oh, yes, anthropological data. Well, early Amerindian stock and Cotahatchee tribes, though no evidence before the 10th century of this era. Now entirely disappeared, though possible traces in 3 families. Nothing before, let's see. Oh, migration since the late 17th century of English brachiocephalic blue-eyed stock, for the most part. But since then, some Slav and Mediterranean.
And the population, Professor?
Oh, yes! The population. Well, within the town limits, 2,640.
Oh, excuse me, Professor.
Yes! Oh, indeed! Oh, well, the population at the moment is 2,642. The postal district brings in 507 more, and making the total 3,149. Yes, and mortality and birth rates are constant. And, well, by McPherson's gauge, 6.032.
Thank you very much, Professor.
Yes.
I'm sure we're all very much obliged.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Professor, this way. Thank you again.
Yes.
And now the political and social report from Editor Webb. Is Mr. Webb here?
He'll be here in just a minute. He just cut his hand while he was eating an apple.
Thank you, Mrs. Webb.
Charles, everybody's waiting.
Mr. Webb is publisher and editor of our Grover's Corner Sentinel. It's our local paper, you know.
Well, I don't have to tell you that we're run here by a board of select men. We're lower middle class. Well, let me start over. All males vote at the age of 21. Women vote indirect. We're lower middle class, a sprinkling of professional men, 10% illiterate laborers. Politically, we're 86% Republicans, 6% Democrats, 4% socialists, rest indifferent. Religiously, we're 85% Protestants, 12% Catholics, rest indifferent.
Have you any comments, Mr. Wood?
A very ordinary town, if you ask me. A little better behaved than most. Probably a lot duller, but our young people here seem to like it well enough. 90% of them graduating from high school settle down right here to live, even when they've been away to college.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to ask Mr. Webb some questions about the town?
Yeah. Is there much drinking here in Grover's Corners?
Well, sir, I wouldn't know what you'd call much. Saturday nights, the farmhands meet down at Ellery Greenhouse Stable and holler some, and we've got 1 or 2 town drunks, but they're always having remorses every time an evangelist comes to town. No, sir, I'd say liquor ain't a regular thing in the home here, except in the medicine chest. Right good for snake bite, always was, you know.
Yeah. Is there anybody?
Yeah, would you come forward, please, so we can all hear you? Now, what were you saying?
I mean, is there anybody in town aware of social injustice or industrial inequality?
Oh, yes. Everybody is. Something terrible. Seems like they spend most of their time talking about who's rich and who's poor.
Then why don't they do something about it?
Well, I don't know. I guess we're all hunting like everybody else for a way that diligent and sensible